I don't know exactly why we have categories for cognition and emotion that are so entrenched, but I will say that they derived not out of a theory of brain function, but of a theory of morality in ancient Greece. So that's how old they are. That, you have an inner beast of emotions and instincts, and that inner beast has to be kept in check by cognition, by rationality. And if you keep that inner beast in check, you're a moral person and you're a healthy person. And if you don't, then you're either immoral or you're immature or you're mentally ill. This idea of that your mind is a battleground between cognition and emotion is a very old idea. You can see it in Plato's writings, and it's embedded in the law. It's embedded in economics. It's just a pervasive idea that has no evidence to support it in brain evolution or brain function. I would say it's a meaningful question about consciousness. It's not a meaningful question about brain structure or brain function, in the sense that our intuitions, our experiences of the world in general are very bad explanatory guides for how the world works. And this is also true when brains are trying to explain themselves, right? So I would say, there are probably times when you're planning a chess move that you're really frustrated. And there are probably times when you're really happy that you're thinking about strategically, how can I meet that person? Or how could I get away from this person? So I think that this is a question of which mental features are in the focus of attention and which ones are in the background. Like right now, for example, if you are sitting, are you sitting or standing?
I'm sitting.
Okay, so right now, for example, you're probably not concentrating on the press of the chair against the back of your thighs until now that I just said it. You probably are thinking about that for a minute, right? So there are features of experience that are available to you that are not in the forefront of your experience, but you can move them in and out pretty easily. And that's really how I think about it. So, for example, the next time that you find yourself being really, really hungry, take a moment and focus your attention on your stomach. Are you hungry or are you tired? Because if you're tired and you need some energy, your first reaction will be to eat, because you have a history of learning that energy comes from eat. Like the feeling of having more energy happens after you eat. But a lot of the time when we're tired, we should be drinking water, not eating, because dehydration is fatigue. Research shows, for example, that when you drink a glass of water, your thirst is immediately quenched. But actually, it takes 20 minutes for the water to make its way into your bloodstream, to change the osmolarity of your blood, to get to the brain, to tell the brain that now you are hydrated. So the brain is constructing experience. It's predicting what the sensory consequences of actions will be. And you start to experience the consequences well before the actual input arrives to the brain to confirm those. So I wouldn't go looking for distinctions between cognition and emotion, because people have looked for those distinctions for years and years and years. And the one thing that we've learned from all of that research is that it's the wrong question to be asking. Instead, it's a question about experience and the way the brain is constructing experience, lived experience. And that's where we should be asking those neuroscience-based questions, I think. Everything from evolutionary biology and neuroscience tells us that the core of brain function is rooted in the regulation of the body. There are metabolic constraints and selection pressures that give us the kind of mind we have. And that means that there's this sort of imperative that is largely hidden, but that scaffolds everything we see and feel and think. AI doesn't have that. I'm not saying an AI has to have a body. I'm saying it has to have a set of really complicated systems that it has to regulate, because that's actually at the basis of our human minds, actually of any mind, of any living creature. I'm not reducing everything to metabolism or bodily regulation, but it's a hugely important piece that we all overlook because we're not aware of it. Right now, you and I and every listener has a whole drama going on inside each of us that I hope we're largely unaware of, because whenever we become slightly aware of that drama, we're usually really uncomfortable and we can't pay attention to anything outside in the world. So I think that that's a huge piece of what it means to have a human mind. Evolutionarily and structurally and functionally, at the core of your brain, it's predictive regulation of the body. So exactly the same brain regions, exactly the same neurons in certain cases that are regulating the body are also implicated in attention or memory or emotion or vision, right? So the hippocampus, people think of this structure as being for memory or for spatial navigation, but it has more endocrine receptors than any other part of the brain except the hypothalamus. It is clearly a hub for the predictive regulation of the body, but that's not how people think of it, because they're more concerned with understanding the other functions which result from that regulation, like memory or spatial navigation. The first thing I would be doing is asking yourself, like when you feel like crap, feeling like crap doesn't mean that something's wrong. It could mean that you're just doing something really hard, or that you didn't get a good night's sleep, or that you're dehydrated in some way. So it doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong with your life, or something is wrong with you. In our culture, we believe that thoughts cause feelings, but actually, if you look at the predictive functioning of the brain, it suggests that the signals which give rise to feelings also give rise to thoughts. So if you feel like shit, you're probably it's going to feel to you like you're a horrible person and that the world is terrible, or you need to divorce your spouse, or your kids are, misbehaving or whatever. We have a tendency to see the world through affect-colored glasses because of how we're wired. So the first thing that I do when I feel like the world is ending, because lots of bad things are happening, the first thing I ask myself is, did I get enough sleep last night? Have I had enough water to drink? Is it better for me to have a bath and go to bed and get up tomorrow and things will look different? Even in the worst of circumstances, that's always a good strategy.